All right, good evening. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Let's just wait for a few more people to join. Welcome to our webinar, How to Manage and Reduce Stress. All right, a few more people joining. Okay. Good evening. My name is Chris Peralta at the Academy of Entrepreneurs. Welcome to our How to Manage and Reduce Stress webinar with our partners at Study New South Wales. There's a few more people trickling in here. So a few quick things. One, housekeeping rules. Please mute yourself if you are not talking. Ask any questions in the chat box below, but we will have ample time at the end to ask any questions. So just a quick introduction with our amazing speaker today. So this is Vibka. Vibka has over 10 years experience in the international educational sector in Spain, Canada, and Australia. Vibka has an understanding and appreciation of settling in a new environment and the importance of connecting and building relationships with others. In her current role at Navitas, she supports graduates as they take the next step in their journey, the transition from university to the world of work and beyond. Her superpower is creating opportunities for people to share their authentic self. So without further ado, Vibka.
Thank you so much, Chris, and welcome everybody. Really happy to be here tonight, and can see lots of you have come into the Zoom meeting. I'm gonna share my screen, and please guys feel free to pop any questions or comments you have in the chat box. And as Chris said, we have a couple of minutes at the end to exchange and answer any questions. I do recommend to have a pen and paper because there will be opportunity along the presentation to do some activities. And I believe that they will be very beneficial for you. All right, so I'm just going to share my presentation now. All right, so welcome to learn more about how you can manage and reduce your stress level. So the first step you're already doing, you're in a group of people right now that have the same idea, that want to learn something new, or maybe it will refresh your memory of things you can do to actually reduce your stress or the stress you're experiencing at the moment, or simply you're thinking about, okay, how can I handle stress better in the future? So today we are going to look at more in detail about why are you actually stressed? So what is stressing you out? What are the situations that stress you out in particular? Because we're all different, to see which are the recurrent situations that get you stressed, and how does it actually feel like for you to see warning signs so that you know when to ask for help, or you know when to react before it gets bigger for you, this feeling of stress. And also to have a look at how do you react to stress. Again, everybody is different, and maybe in different situations you will react in a different way. And then we will have a look at ways that you can actually reduce your personal stress level. Okay, let's dive right in. As human beings, we're very complex, right? Anything that we're taking in affects what is coming out of us, may it be our behavior, our health, or our performance. So especially when we talk about health, you may be thinking about what I'm eating, reflects how well I am with my health. But that's also coming from all the information that we're taking in. So like, for example, on this train here, most of the people are on the phone. So we're constantly taking in information, and our brain is actually working full time, right? All the time. So even now you're looking at the screen, but then the attention is to really learn something new. And the thing is, did you know that our brain actually processes 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day? That's a lot. And unfortunately, 80% of them are negative, and 95 of them are repetitive thoughts you had the day before. So there are quite a lot of repetitive thoughts, and unfortunately negative. So let's have a look why this is happening. So the first step would be self-awareness. Do you know when you get stressed, how you feel and how you react? Because everybody's different and everybody has different experiences. But how is that? So a lot of us, probably everybody has made one's plans, and then everything came different than they expected it to be. So some situations like that could make everybody feel uncomfortable. So it's really good to plan. And I'm sure when you came here to Australia and decided to study something, you thought, okay, this is what I'm doing, and then I get straight to my goal. But that's usually not the reality. Even small things like organizing a party, and then it doesn't happen the way you imagine it. To be okay with changes and to take along the challenges that come along with the changes. But then again, plan and reality, and then people go for a lot of changes. So maybe you're resisting, you have problems sometimes to embrace change. So change, like here in nature, can see with the leaves, is very natural, and there are changes that you actually welcome, like growing up, getting a better paid job, changes like going to another country, have better opportunities. But there are areas in our life that all find quite challenging. That might be changing jobs, yes, changing country, moving somewhere else. So some change might be easier to accept than others, but we're all going through changes during our lifetime. And then obviously sometimes we just receive bad news. If this is something about our family, maybe losing the job, or simply didn't get the grade that you wanted to get to be successful in your studies. So all of us have experienced this kind of situation before. What I would like to invite you to do now is actually to take a minute and just write down a list of the things that, maybe 5 situations that typically make you feel stressed and potentially feel like you're out, like losing control of your actions. So I'm just going to put a minute timer, and so you guys have time just to think about it for 1 minute and write them down, 5 of them. All right, that was really quick, right? A minute goes by really quickly when we think about all the things that usually stress us out. Also feel welcome to do this exercise with more time after this session. But I believe it's very good to have a look and to see, or maybe we have certain situations that are kind of returning to your life, and having a look, why are these same situations coming back, and trying with the same solutions that are not working. So maybe you need to look at different approach. And let's see if we can find some solutions today. Ooh. Let me see. There we go. One thing might just simply be the perspective. I know that most of our challenges is with communication with other, because we don't live alone here on the planet. And if we want to achieve something, may it be with the family, with friends, with colleagues at work, we do have to communicate. And sometimes it can be very challenging to have people around you that have not the same perspective than you. So they have different opinions. And like this picture here demonstrate, it's not that one is wrong and the other one is right. It's simply looking at, depending on the perspective they are looking at this number, for example, they have a different idea about what they're looking at. So communication is really key, but also to be open to different aspects, how people look at the situation. So for example, you are facing a challenge and another person doesn't see it so much as a difficulty because they already know how to solve it, or they see it from another angle. So that's why it's really important to have good friends that can give you good feedback, and also to open your mind up of growth, like how can you see one situation in a different perspective. Maybe some of you have heard about NLP before. A couple of years ago, I actually did a course about neuro-linguistic programming. And what I found very important was to understand how our brain works. Because as mentioned before, we have a lot of information coming at us, which results in so many thoughts per day. But actually our eyes, our ears, we actually receive so much information that our brain has to have some sort of filter. Otherwise, we're going to be on overload. So those filters we got basically while we were growing up. It might be a cultural thing, a thing like based with your family, how things were seen in your family. So your beliefs, your values, and your own personal experience, so your memories and decisions you made in the past. So sometimes we tend to delete some information because our brain says, oh, that's not important, or generalize, for example, oh, this happened, so it will happen again like that. Or distorted when we have an idea. For example, I'm looking for a cable in my cupboard and I think that charger cable is blue. So I'm looking for blue, I'm not going to find it, but it's actually a different color. That's distortion. So even if you go, for example, with a couple of friends to a party, and see the same things happening, you will experience this differently because of your different filters, consciously or unconsciously. So in your mind, there is a different perception on how this event is actually happening, and that will influence your state and also your behavior. So just to understand a little bit how complex actually our brain works and how different everybody is because of different experiences, beliefs, and experience, like memories. What I really enjoy are actually personality tests. I'm pretty sure at least you have done one in your life. I really like the one with the birds because you don't even have to do a test to decide what you feel that you feel more connected with. So birds are easy because everybody has seen a dove, an owl, a peacock, and an eagle before, and we know how they look like, Maybe not everybody knows what a sound a peacock makes, but it's quite pitchy, and they're very colorful and bright, and they're really out there. They want to be seen, very social. So just imagine a personality like that. Maybe you have a friend like that that's very networker. They love to be on social media, take photos. They know a lot of people, and they're the life of the party. And then you have, for example, a dove that is a bit more introverted, a bit more reserved, but is very concerned about how people feel. And the voice is not a strong voice, more like a soft one. And then think about what they stand for in your country. For example, the dove is a symbol of peace. So do you have a friend, or maybe yourself, you're a very peaceful person and likes harmony and likes to make sure everybody is looked after. Probably you know somebody like that. And then the owl, for example, the owl is a bird of knowledge, and you can see they have very big eyes, so they're very observant. So probably you know, have a friend, or you're the same, that loves to study, that likes detail, but won't be the first person to start a conversation, but be more observant. But has a lot of knowledge, especially an expert in their area, and they love rules. They love rules and regulations. So probably somebody in administration that has to do for immigration, for example. Yeah, that probably there are a lot of owls personality types. And then we have the eagle. So the eagle is an emblem for example, the United States, right? Powerful. The eagle looks very majestic when he's in the air. And he doesn't speak much, but when he speaks, I don't know if you heard an eagle before, it's quite strong. And you know, all right, there's an eagle. So what's an eagle personality? Usually people think, oh, that's the right leader, because they're really quick with decision making. They know exactly what they want. You give them some info, say yes, no. They don't waste their time. But at the end of the day, everybody here of those birds could be a leader. And maybe you have now thought about, oh, which character am I more likely to be? Of course, we have all of it in our personality, but some of them will be more dominant. And why am I talking about birds? Like, why the heck is she talking about birds? But what I find very important is when you know what your strengths are, you also know where your weaknesses are. For example, let's say you are a dove, a very soft-spoken person, and you are communicating with an eagle. So the eagle could be quite intimidating because they're very direct, and the dove is a bit more cautious and doesn't make decisions very quickly. So an eagle personality could get very quickly frustrated with a dove because they're not really speaking up, they're not really saying what's going on. So you can see who has which bird has which advantages, which superpowers. Yeah, like the peacock would be the person that is a really good networker. The eagle is really good with decision making. The owl knows very well how to follow regulations and rules, so a lot of knowledge. And the dove makes it happen that everybody feels included. So the moral of the story is that you basically need everybody on your team. And at my job, we did actually an experiment where we were supposed to select one bird and break out in the groups, only the doves, only peacocks, eagles, and owls. And we were given some time to organize a company picnic. And the eagles were done in less than 1 minute, because it was just, okay, that's the day, that's what we're gonna do. The peacocks were all about fun topic. How do we decorate it? How can we take pictures? So it's all about fun and connections. And the doves are about including everybody. How can we offer food that's all nationalities, music for everybody that they all feel included? How can we make people comfortable? And the outs are really the planners. When, what, who does what, when. So very, very detailed. So we realize, first of all, to appreciate everybody's different view on things, but also realizing, oh, we actually need all of these superpowers to build an awesome party, for example. So it doesn't matter which character you feel more connected with, all of them are welcome, all of them are necessary. And yes, they always struggle with one thing or another. And the thing is, we tend to hang out with the same birds. So if you're a dove like me, you probably hang out more with people that are also doves. So what does it say? If you have a problem and you want to have a different viewpoint, you may also want to connect with people you know are thinking different from you, so that they get another perspective. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did, and maybe check it out with your friends and think about, okay, what bird might they be? And this is why I find it very difficult sometimes when they say certain things. So just to have an idea. So let's come to the second activity. So you guys have already written down maybe 1 to 5 different situations that you find difficult, that are stressing you out at the moment or in general. And now I would like you to think about how you actually feel when you're stressed. So here are just a couple of examples, but some of you might suddenly feel a headache coming up, or they have insomnia. You have insomnia, can't sleep very well when you're stressed. Or maybe you start eating more, yeah, or you feel something in your stomach, or your breath changes. I find it's very important to actually think about how you feel in different situations, because they can be like warning signs for you to say, okay, this is I'm starting to feel this. So, okay, what can I do now? I know it's more serious than maybe another sign that you get for other areas that you are stressed. So I'm just going to give you another minute. You can just add some of the feelings that you usually have when you feel stressed, just to think a little bit about those situations. Okay. Don't worry. Again, as I said, you guys have time to invest that more after as well. I find it's just good to build it up from one to the other. And you might be surprised when you realize what are your symptoms that you feel when you start to get stressed. Obviously, it's your body who tells you what's going on, right? A lot of people might have heard about that people feel stressed as if there was a tiger running after them, but obviously there are no tigers when we are stressed around us, so no real life threat, but our body gives us those symptoms that it feels like it's real, like we're really in danger. And you might have heard about freeze, flight, and fight before. And I find them very interesting because we probably all have reacted in different situations, all of them once. So one would be when your system is feeling danger. So you could go into, let's, for example, imagine you're having a discussion with your boss, and they're giving you feedback and you're not happy with the feedback they're giving you. So you could be moving towards the situation and getting frustrated, irritated, even going into anger and rage. So reacting to what they're saying in a more moving towards maybe a bit aggressive. Maybe you're defending yourself, for example, or you feel more in the way that you're not defending and attacking. You actually feel like you would like to run away, but you can't. So you're worried, you're concerned, your anxiety level starts, your fear kicks in, and maybe you're even starting to panic. And then we tend to not really say what we're feeling because we just want to get out of the situation as soon as possible. And then I feel like even the harder one could be when you feel like it's really life-threatening, then we start to actually freeze. That means you can't say anything, you can't move, and you're just frozen because it's so shocking that you don't know what to do. So you won't say anything, you feel trapped, your system is shutting down, you might be breathing very shallow and feeling depressed. So what could that be in response? So as I mentioned, when you're passive silence, you're probably in a frozen state because you don't know what to say. When I say this, then I will be in trouble. If I do this, I will be in trouble. It's just a total shock. So you're withholding information that could actually help yourself and others to reduce that stress or to dissolve it and open up opportunities for understanding and for team building. What does that mean? So when we go into this freeze and we're not telling the other person what's happening with us, they don't understand why we're not responding. So they might misinterpret this that we don't care, that we're not listening. But if we actually say why are we frozen, could be just like, oh my God, I'm so afraid I'm losing my job, or I didn't see this coming, or something else is happening in my life. So when we're in the freeze status, it takes away the opportunity to actually communicate what's happening with us. And that could be very important also for your leader to know, for example, in this case, your boss. So if they know something is happening with you in your private life and you cannot take that extra pressure of feedback right now, then it would be good for them to know. Aggression, that was the fight. So you're going to attack. People usually do that because they need to be in control of the situation. So they feel attacked themselves. And only by attacking back, they feel more getting in control because they're actually not safe with the situation. Let's say you got feedback. So that can end up into manipulation or slight bullying. But it could actually be just, screaming at somebody or having a very angry tone when you're replying, which is not really good, especially in a workplace. So it's good to see what the triggers are. And sometimes even people that are very silent, when something is bubbling on the surface, maybe one day they actually snap because they didn't have a chance to get that off their chest, and they might be snapping at somebody that had nothing to do with it, and they really regret it afterwards. But this can happen. And another one that was the flight situation is the passive aggressive. So that means you're indirectly engaged. Most people that are not feel confident enough to say to the other person, okay, this was not okay, what you just said, or they feel unfairly treated, they will go to a third person and complain about the person, and it can undermine that authority. So if you have a problem with your boss and you talk to your colleague always negative about your boss, that might be undermining in general the authority of your boss, and will sabotage the productivity. So I'm not saying it's not okay to go to your friend and vent, which means you're just letting out how you're feeling, but always to talk negatively about a person, gossiping is not helping you and not helping the situation. So it is good to, when you know there's a problem, to have the courage and actually talk to the person you have the problem with. I know that's not always easy, but that's why it's very important to find good friends that give you good feedback. So what I would encourage you guys, another minute for this activity. So we had the situations that you find difficult or challenging, then the way you feel usually when you're in that situation. And now I'd love you to have a thought about how you usually respond when you're in this situation. Do you freeze? Do you not say anything? You can't say anything? Do you fight back? So snappy maybe comments or defending yourself or generalizing something, or you maybe go into the flight mode, so you're more passive aggressive, or you just simply don't want to be there. All right, give you another minute for that. Okay. All right, so now we talked about how people can react when they're feeling in danger or like really life threatened in some situation. Obviously, as I said, they're not really life threatening, but our body, it feels like it. Yeah, it's what our body does when he's stressed. So how can we work towards those responses? So first of all was being aware. That the exercise we just did now is being aware which situations usually happen that you get stressed, how do you feel, and how do you usually react. So one thing is when you're realizing, oh my God, yeah, these are the symptoms, it's a similar situation, and this is how I'm about to respond, is just to take a step back. Sorry about that. Take a step back and breathe. One of them can actually just be breathing, not telling yourself, okay, I'm not in danger, I'm safe. So what's really happening here? Taking a step back and thinking also about, all right, what's actually happening? What's my doing in this situation again? Is there something truthful in what my colleague is just telling me, giving me feedback, or are they just having a bad day, or what's actually happening here? So practicing and repeating really is, sometimes I'm pretty sure everybody had this before. Nowadays we can just text, right? Or write emails. So some things you wouldn't say to a person in the face, but sometimes when we get really angry, something happens, we tend to write, more aggressive messages because it's in the text message, yeah. And then 5 minutes later, you regret that you sent them. So one of the practices could also be just before you write something, to write it and then go away from the situation, come back when you have cooled off a bit, and would you still send it then? That might be a very different outcome, but what can happen is sometimes people think, all right, I'm in this situation and I need to solve it in that moment, but sometimes taking a step back, you know, cooling off, thinking a bit about it, and then seeing things in relation, maybe getting a different viewpoint. You can always go back to the situation, to the person you had to talk with, and then say, can we have a talk about what just happened? And you can, you know, talk in a different way to them. So really to be honest with yourself and the other person, to think about, okay, so I had a bad day, I was very angry already, then you came and give me feedback, which I didn't ask for. So basically saying, okay, I hear you, but I'm not in the right space right now for this feedback. And also saying, okay, why did I react it that way? So there's always an opportunity to go back and have a chat. So don't worry if in that moment you're freezing and you can't reply. Well, give yourself some time and then go back to the person to talk to. And very important is the responding instead of reacting, because if you already had a bad day and then somebody comes and does something that even annoys you more, you're more likely to react than to respond to what they're actually talking to you. So reacting is very heavily charged with emotions. So responding is more, okay, seeing the whole context and taking the emotion a bit out of it. And when I'm saying emotion, I'm talking about like the negative emotions to it, and then just having a bit of a breather and thinking about, okay, what just happened? Working towards independence. We are living in a time where there is, everything is about likes in social media, and you know, we are very responsive to, do people like me, do they not like what I'm doing? So we're depending a lot on outside forces. Becoming more independent means that yes, you will allow feedback, but you're not trying to please everybody, because to be honest, if you're trying to please everybody, there will always be, if you say yes, some people will not agree with that. If you say no, some people will not agree with it. So can you see, it doesn't matter which side you are picking in a situation. It's always best to simply stick with the choice that you feel is best for you, because yes, you can't please everybody. So really stick with what's true to yourself, being independent, and also becoming a servant leader. So you're thinking like, what's she talking about? I'm not a leader. I'm not a team leader in my work, or I'm not a team leader at university. What's she talking about? But actually, you don't need to have a title to be a leader in your family, maybe at church, at work, at university. You don't have to have a title to be a leader. But what does that mean is, when you're a servant, you don't think so much about, will they like me? Will they accept what I'm doing? Will I do a good job? So you're more thinking about, how can I help my team? How can I make them more comfortable so we can achieve the goal together? What do they need to be successful? So how can I be of service? Doesn't mean I'm doing everything for them. It's more like really caring about what's going on for them. How can you support them while you're also taking care of yourself, obviously, but not so much about how do you look? How does it look like what you're doing right now? How you look like you present, and more being focused on what value can you bring to the people that you work with. And finding a true friend is very important. So when you think about true friend, I'm not talking about a friend you can only come and talk about like venting, you know, like something happened to you and you just need somebody to talk to, which is fantastic. But a true friend is also somebody who challenges you with feedback. And I mean that feedback where you feel like, wow, they're right. I can feel that it's annoying me, but somewhere I know they are right. There is something I need to look at. And they won't just say, yes, yes, your boss is horrible, but they might say, okay, so you're always attracting this kind of boss. What is it that you could do different? Is there something that you are repeatedly doing? Maybe you're not speaking up early enough and then it escalates. So a friend is somebody who really truly supports you, you know, when you're going for something, and also to give you truthful feedback, to support you there, to be there, but also to challenge you in a way, in a good way, to help you grow. And let's look at stress in general. This lady looks like she's studying for an exam and looks like probably she has just started like a day before, so she looks very stressed. And but just imagine a life without stress. Sounds good. Maybe think again, if we didn't have deadlines, like for example, exam, you have to study, would you be that productive knowing you could finish it at any time? You could do it anytime you want. Would you then do it? Or if you didn't work, when you do work in a team and you don't say who's going to do what until when, do you think we would be able to actually finish the project together? So yes, some stress is so pressing that we go into panic mode, and obviously we don't want to feel that way. But some stress is actually good for us to make us realize what's really important to us, and also to give us a bit in a kick so that we are more motivated. So looking at the flip side of stress, there is a bit of a paradox. So a certain amount of stress can be actually very good for you, but then when it goes overboard and you can't sleep at night, and you can't eat or you overeat, then obviously it goes into the really negative one. I really highly recommend you guys to find this speech on YouTube and have a look what Kelly has to say and how to turn stress into an advantage. Probably you guys have experienced that before, when you actually go for a challenge and you come out on the other side, you're like, oh my God, I made it. And you will have grown from this experience. So if you think about stress as an opportunity for challenge and you can embrace the situation, even if it's very painful, as long as you know you're not alone in this, and you can have, you know, support and the feedback from friends, community, maybe mentors, you can actually really grow from those experiences. So having just a little different view on that stress isn't always just a bad thing. And I would like to invite you for another little experiment, an activity you guys can do with me. So this one's called Think the Opposite. So it's called inversion technique. So instead of only thinking about what you need to do to get what you want, so thinking of your goals, your dreams, you flip it in reverse and think backwards what you don't want to happen. All right, that might be a mouthful. Let's have a look at an example. So this one is, for example, this one says, how can I become a better leader? And the flip side will be, how can I prevent myself from becoming a better leader? So you're actually voicing your negative ideas, what could go wrong, right? So for example, here they're saying, how can I prevent from becoming a better leader is I would blame people that I lead for everything they do wrong and taking all the credits for the things that they do right. You make demands for the team for the things that you don't want to do, and you discourage your team from making contributions. So definitely that's a very negative output. This is how you're not going to become a really good leader, right? But how can you prevent this? Would be by leading by example, for example, really listening to your team and rewarding and recognizing your team for the efforts, encourage new ideas and open criticism. So can you see what they're doing? They're first looking at what is it that you want to achieve, what you don't want to happen, and then you're looking at how can you prevent the things that you don't want to happen from happening. What are the action points? So you're really voicing your concerns, what your negative thoughts that you have anyway. So acknowledging them instead of stuffing them down. Say, yeah, we're all good. This is what I have to do, the positive way. Let's give it a go. Just try it out with a simple thing, not going very deep now, but just to get a bit of a grip what this actually means. I'm just going to give you another minute. All right, so that might have been very short to really go for this, but just try it out at home. It could be, just think about something that's very important to you, a goal that you have, maybe like, I don't know, getting a new job, getting a raise or whatever it is, and try it out. It's very powerful because it helps you to really concentrate on the things that you can watch out. Oh, am I starting to blame people? Okay, so this is getting me away from my goal. So seeing some warning signs. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, let's have a look at that. Now we have been doing a lot of reflection. Now let's look at some of the popular stress reduction techniques. So obviously, very known ones is that you need to look after your diet. I mean, that's a very given one, to drink plenty of water, to get lots of fresh air and exercise. So for anybody, exercise means a different thing. I personally like to go for a walk in the morning because I can take off fresh air and daily exercise already. Sleep is super important because yes, some of you might be super young and think, oh, I only need 5 hours sleep. Actually, your body needs a good 7 to 8 hours sleep every night to be able to regenerate, to get all the toxins out. So good sleep is very important, especially when you go into like a stress situation. Yeah, you want to be fresh so you can actually find solution and go for the challenges ahead. And we mentioned before also to have good friends, good connections, might be at work, at studies, in your own family that support you and can give you feedback. So they help you to grow. And regular reflecting. So obviously we think all the time about the negative things, but a lot of people start writing like journals or just write down what they are thankful of as well. But also think about, okay, what challenge you are thankful for because it made you learn something new, or now your comfort zone has been widened because you did that one talk, for example, at university. And also to allow yourself a little bit of stillness every day. And I'm not talking about sleeping, I'm talking about being awake. But especially because we have so many influences every day, the technology, like just to have a bit of social media free time, screen free time, you know, being more in nature. For example, stillness is a really good thing, because in that case, more ideas will come to you. Whatever makes you more creative and helps you to relax and get new ideas, that should be the right thing for you. So maybe have a look at what are the things that you have seen now that reminds you, okay, oh, I haven't done this for a long time, and oh, that's the easy one, like drinking more water. So maybe I'm not having enough water. You can think about that. So what's the one that you need to think more about or work more on? And then I have a little list here of things that are maybe not as commonly known, but you might have heard of them before but never tried. So more and more on the internet, you can actually hear about breath work. So I'm not an expert in this, but I tried a couple of times, and it's actually very interesting, because the way you're breathing will also tell your body in what state you're in. So breathwork can really help you when you're in a stressful situation, to just taking, so for example, some deep breaths. It's telling your body, okay, I'm not in danger. It's not a dangerous situation, just, you know, to calm down. But actually mastering breath work will help your body to detox better, to get you in a more high performance state. Maybe you guys have heard of Wim Hof before. He also does like ice bathing, something more extreme, but a little bit of breath work they use also in yoga. Tapping, or EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, that's a combination of affirmation, and at the same time, if you heard about the meridians, so what the Chinese medicine uses, for example, for acupuncture, that's a combination. Just Google it, you can try it out, see if it works for you, if you feel better using it. And then in psychology, you could also use voice dialogue. So a lot of people like using journaling, you know, to write down their emotions, negative, positive, whatever they are, just to write them out, so they're out of their system. But maybe you want to give it a go, the verbal one. You can just take 2 chairs, and one chair you talk about everything that's annoying you, all the negative thoughts that come up, and in the other chair you're in your positive thoughts, you know, everything that's going well for you. And the more often you do it, your negative thoughts that you have every day, they will actually, the volume will go down a bit. Just try it out. Grounding can actually be achieved if you do exercise, like especially if it's a group exercise with running. And but my favorite grounding is actually going to the beach and walking barefoot in the sand. So you're really connected to nature, but you're also very relaxed. So some of those techniques might be a bit like a quick fix, and you may go very quickly back to being stressed. So if you see, especially after doing those activities that we did just now, you're seeing, oh yeah, actually this kind of situation is coming back to me all the time, just in a different form, but it's the same kind of situation. Then you may want to look at having a mentor, because, or a really good friend, because we are not able to find our own blind spots. So if you're trying, as I said earlier, if you're trying to solve an issue with the same tools and expect the same results, it's not going to happen. That's what Einstein also said before. So it's very good to get some help from expert if you are looking for a more permanent change in your life. that's what I would recommend. And also supportive communities. So I really love Paula's Academies of Entrepreneurs, because people with the same wish of growth, of opening your own business, and there will be lots of challenges. You have to go through lots of feeling and be okay with it and stick to your passion to really work hard and continue when you open a business. And community actually means a group of people that agree to grow together. So finding supportive communities, you might already be in one without really recognizing, you might go to church, or you have a sports group, or, but yeah, to find people that have the same goals as you is definitely great, because then you can support each other when you're a bit low. And then you can do the same thing for them when it's happening. So I believe that really connecting always with the why you are doing something. So when you get frustrated at your job, why are you doing the job? Maybe it's not your dream job, but you're doing the job so you have money for the studies to really finance your dream. Or why did you come to Australia? And now you're going for all the challenges, but to connect with what your dream is, to connect with your passion, will really help you to get that extra energy to go for all the challenges you have. I know it's sometimes very hard, and that's why we need friends. You know, guys, know you're not alone. But to connecting with why did you decide to do this or that, and when the challenges come, you will have more positive thoughts about, okay, I can do it. I will get closer to my dream, and use that opportunity as a challenge to grow. Okay, and just to finish off before we go into questions, what I wanted to point out are three main things. Is, yes, stress is not very pleasant, but it's supposed not to be pleasant, because it really makes us focus on the things that are important to you in your life. And also, it's not good to compare yourself to others, because everybody's going on a very individual journey. So if you're thinking, oh my God, my friend came later than me, but they already have this and that, and you feel bad about your own failures, or your own way, your own journey, but you don't know all about them, and measuring up to other people's success is not going to make you feel better, and it's not actually good, because you don't know how many times they failed. Probably you don't know the whole story. And then to take also full responsibility for your life. And before, we were talking about blaming people for your situation, for example. If you're blaming another person for the situation you're in, it's not going to change, right? But if you say, okay, you vent, you feel like the person is part of the situation you're in, that's one thing. But then, okay, so what can I do now? How can I claim that situation? How can I make it different? Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm very curious if you guys have any questions. And I would love to hear if there's something you find was a big takeaway from the things you heard today. Anybody? Oh, and another thing is, if you want to have more information about emotional intelligence, it's quite a big part of what I was talking about today. If you get in touch with Academies of Entrepreneurs, they can also send you that ebook. Okay.
All right.
You guys have any questions?
think
Yes,
we have a lot of thank you messages. Anyone has any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Greetings to you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sharon,
Mhm,
and I'm from Indonesia. I have a question for you
mhm.
about how to control the mind of regret about mistakes made in the past. Because I think if we can forgive our mistakes in the past, we can do better in future.
That's a
Thank you.
very nice one. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, that's true. When we are thinking too much about the past or the past mistakes, and we're too afraid of repeating them, then we may repeat them actually. So sometimes it's not easy to forgive yourself, but there's actually one very interesting quote I learned was you can think it like that: you find 99 ways of not to do it, and then you come to the way of how to do it. So a lot of people think that to be successful should be easy, but only if you really have the guts to continue and be okay with failure. You call it failure and you may be feeling really bad about it, but it's actually better to do and fail than not to do it at all. So just to, you can clap on your shoulder and be like, okay, I did it this time, it didn't work, but I'm not giving up on my dream, and I continue what I am passionate about. So you can learn from them. And yes, it's sometimes hard to forgive yourself when you haven't achieved what you wanted. um, but yeah, to when you drill in the past and you don't forgive yourself, then you don't have an opportunity to say, okay, I'm just going to give it another try. Thank you so much for your input.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
What do you do to forgive yourself? Do you have something like a ritual or something?
I think it's similar to your solution that I uh, motivate myself to try better
Hmm,
rather than do nothing.
beautiful. Do you have a certain dream at the moment? Something you want to achieve that keeps you going?
Yes, I'm in my final year in my university and I want to apply to a great company, maybe in
Beautiful.
next year.
Fantastic. Love it. Thanks for sharing. Thanks
Okay,
for
thank
coming
you.
online and sharing.
Before we get back to questions, because we'll give a few more minutes, can everyone, I wanted to do a quick selfie with everyone. Can everyone turn on your cameras and we'll do a selfie together? Perfect. All right. A few more people.
I have a question. Hello.
Yes.
Please.
I'm Alejandra. I'm from Colombia. I'm
Nice
a
to meet
student here. And my question is, if I have stress, can I get in anxious easy or is the stress and anxious the same thing?
I really feel like everybody reacts differently, and there is also positive stress. For example, when you get excited. So, for
But
example, when I was preparing this presentation, I'm also like, oh my God, I hope they like what I have to present, and I really want to give you good information. But obviously, there's always some negative voice telling me, who do you think that you know everything? I don't know everything about stress. I don't have all the answers, but just to put out the information or sharing something that I have learned and I have experienced over the years, um, will definitely be helpful. Maybe even if you only take one single thing from this presentation. So some stress can be positive, right? Because if you didn't have a deadline, like, would you push yourself to do it? If I didn't have a deadline, knowing today I'm giving this presentation, it could take me forever to prepare, right? It doesn't always have to go into being anxious. But if it goes into anxiousness, then you probably need somebody to support you. to help you to see clear. And I feel like that's why friends are so important, that's why mentors are important. Some of you might be religious, so you might go to church to find some answers, right? So everybody has a different way of dealing with it. But when you feel like, oh my God, it's getting too much, then know that you're not alone and reach out. I think some people think like, oh my God, if I tell people that I need help, then I will look bad, or, you know, then I have failed. But if you feel it's like really severe stress, then I would definitely recommend to talk to somebody, because they can help you to get a different viewpoint or get some ideas how you can tackle the problem. But yeah, stress doesn't have to be always super negative. It can also be like exciting, because you know, oh, I'm getting nervous because this is important to me. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I remember hearing in the news in America, they were interviewing all the people that turned 100, and they asked them what their secret to longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And each one had different feedback, and you're like, what? So one actually drank Dr. Pepper every day. Another had, and it's like Coke, right? Another one had 2 eggs every day. And I remember recently asking my grandma last year asking my grandma who turned 100, and she said happiness, always smiling, and you'll always see her smiling. So everyone has everyone's different and how they deal with things and in their life. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick selfie, and you please ask more questions. So I'm going to count down to 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, any more questions, guys?
Actually, oh, so yes.
Hi.
Catalina,
Hi, my name is Catalina. I'm from Chile. And I want to share my story before I go to my question. Because when I first came here to Australia, like 2 years ago, I didn't have any English. Like, even pronounce was difficult for me. Sometimes it's still very difficult. But when I came here, I came with big dreams. And I'm still have like big dreams, and I feel very small in a big like a big challenges. So my question is, how take it slow? Because even for me, communication is still difficult. How can I don't know, how can I get a good job or stay in a good job when basic things are difficult?
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your situation. Well, one of my mentors, he says, how does a lion eat an elephant? Well, he has to do it one bit at a time. So if I feel like when things get very overwhelming, it's good to break it down into smaller tasks, what you want to achieve. So I mean, kudos to you to come to Australia with low English or no English, because I know how it is to come to a country and not really speaking a language, because I actually went to Spain having very little Spanish, and then my head was aching every night trying to understand people and learning the language. So I do understand where you're coming from. But I believe one of the things I recommend is one thing people do is visualizing your dream, not to forget it, because when we get really overwhelmed, we tend to forget what the dream was. And then also to surround yourself with people that have the same dream, because they go through similar challenges, or maybe somebody that went through it before you and can give you some advice. Doesn't mean you will go through exactly the same journey, but they might have some advice for you and what you can do. That's why mentors are so great. Are you in a Spanish speaking community with people that have been here for a long time, like immigrated before you, for example?
Yes, I have some friends from Latin America, especially Argentina, Colombia, but not like a community. Yeah, but I have many friends, and for them it's the same. It's very difficult. Or who started before, they said, yeah, I know what you mean when you forget a little words and you forget like the whole sentence and you can't keep going for what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can feel, yeah? Do you want to say something, Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so everybody, please, you're more than welcome. You're now part of not just the Study New South Wales, but also the Academy of Entrepreneurs ecosystem and tribe. We're at Tattersalls Club. We do a lot of events and there's a lot of international students. So you're more than welcome to come to any and all of our events. So you're part of our tribe now as well. So yeah, we have a lot of students from Latin America. And, I think, time it just takes time, but also acknowledge your small wins. That's what I think. Like, even if it's the smallest win, acknowledge it. You'd be proud of it. And it always looks overwhelming at first, but I've lived overseas for 20 years. I've been in countries where, I had no idea about the culture and I had to adapt, and I did, and everyone does. Not just me, everyone. It's just time, and celebrate those small wins. Sorry, I just wanted to add that, guys.
No, beautiful. I love it. And to be honest, I go to some events because I love the vibe that I can feel at the Academies of Entrepreneurs, because there's so many people that want to open their business, and just I'm soaking up that energy of people helping each other, like cheering each other on. And when you go to the pitch nights, you see people that are pitching the business, their dream, and it's just very courageous, that vibe. So I do recommend you guys to go there, especially if you're like, thinking of opening something as well. But it's really cool. And I love what Chris said about celebrating the wins, because we tend just to be like, okay, tick, next. So really, to what you said, I'm sure that since you're here, you moved on different levels in your English, just to congratulate yourself and say, wow, I made it from, I don't know, elementary to intermediate now, right? That's a big thing. So to celebrate success is very important, and set yourself maybe a little milestone and say, when I get there, and then you really celebrate, because it's really important. Share it with everybody, because I feel like, especially when I hear stories with entrepreneurs, you don't always hear all the hardship they went through until where they are now. But when you have people around you that support you, cheer you on, you can do it, you would be surprised what you can go through. So I'm a big advocate for communities. So find your tribe, feel invited to come to Academies of Entrepreneurs. They have so many different free events you guys can join, and maybe make new friends.
You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can just come to, for instance, our expo and talk to other people and meet people. There's no expectations. You don't have to do anything apart from just come and talk to people and see if there's something people can help out with. So you don't have to have a business. So that's what I wanted to stress.
And it's always good to expand your network, because you never know. Talking to another person might be, or you're saying, oh, I'm really passionate about this and that, and currently I'm looking for a job in this, and they know a friend that works in this, for example. You never know when you go out there tell people what you're passionate about, and what you're looking for, who you might meet at those kind of events as well. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. I really appreciate it.
And yes, any other questions? Last question. I know you guys are all busy and we went over time. Okay. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@aestudy.com. We'll coordinate with Vibka and Study New South Wales. Go to Eventbrite to see if any events you want to join. Please, if you want to build your tribe, please come, Catalina and everyone. You're welcome. And I hope you enjoyed the session. I definitely did, and I learned a lot. So really appreciate your time, and everyone, please keep safe. Thank you, Vibka.
It was lovely to meet you all, guys. Have a great one.
Take care.
And maybe I'll see you at the academies one day. Have a good one. Bye.